Hi, what's up? Lee, Art of Light Images. And today I'll be talking about this. Hello, and for those who weren't paying attention, I'll be talking about the Canon R5, the upcoming full-frame mirrorless camera from Canon, and this camera has the 5 designation, which in my mind puts it perhaps in the same league as a Canon 5D series camera. I suspect that Canon are doing away with the 5D series, moving to mirrorless, and the R5 will be the new iteration of that. That's just my presumption, but I think that's where we're going. Why else would they use a 5? And it's about time that they did refresh the 5D Mark IV with a 5D Mark V. So I think this is the refresh. Now I've made a list of various things really. I'm mostly going to be talking about the rumours versus, well, not so much versus, but the rumours as well as the facts that we know about this camera. Now I'm really interested in Canon cameras. It's true that I don't own a Canon camera now, but I started my photography career with Canon. My first Canon camera was a 600D. My first full frame camera was a standard 5D, the basic 5D, the one that came out in 2005, I think it was. So this is quite an exciting time. I hope that this camera does live up to the rumours and the expectations. Of course it won't, because rumours tend a lot of the time not to be true, but sometimes they are right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have two lists. I'm going to have a list here and I'm going to have a list here, and I'm going to basically just write down truth versus rumour, or truth as well as rumour, and then we can discuss things from there. So let's talk about truth. So we know that this camera's gonna have 8K video. Now 8K video, it's really good, I imagine, to have 8K video. I can only ponder what you could do with 8K in terms of cropping in. Be really good to be able to record 8K video and not worry about changing lenses so much. So you could use maybe a medium telephoto lens, and then in post you could crop in to make it look more like a long lens, and you could still have 1080p quality, so you can zoom in like 8 times or something on top of the zoom that you've already got. So I think, but in terms of editing and cutting room floor, not that anyone works on a cutting room floor these days, but in terms of editing, it's going to be a lot better, a lot more flexible to be able to have 8K video. But that said, as I've said in a previous video regarding the Artel Evo 2 drone, the 8K drone, sorry for the noise, there's a massive storm outside, hopefully the car's not blown over. But yeah, in terms of 8K, it's just recording it. And do you have a computer powerful enough to record it? People want lots of things, you know, they want 8K, they want this, they want that, but can they actually use it? And it's not good enough to say I can record in 8K and then just use that as a recording. You do need to process video, surely. You will need to edit it. At least I think you should edit it. It's a little bit like editing photos. You can use a JPEG or you can shoot in RAW, but I always like to shoot in RAW so I can have the freedom to edit. And I think that's the same with this 8K. The logistics of it. Can you actually benefit and can you actually edit 8K? It's good to have, I'm sure, but can you use it? But that's the feature that it's going to have. Now, will that 8K be... So Canon has a tendency of crippling their cameras and making the camera seem really good, filling it with fantastic, apparently fantastic specs, and then just murdering it in some way. Is this going to be that horrible sort of JPEG sort of video that Canon put out last time for the 5D Mark IV? Is it going to be unusable video? Are we going to have massive files that you just can't edit, you can't use? IBIS, that would be really good. It's about time Canon, did IBIS. Why can't Canon do it? Why haven't they done it before in a leading camera? It's really weird. Nikon do it, Sony does it, Fuji does it. Not in the X-T3, but they did in the XH1. So yes, Canon, fantastic. IBIS. 20 frames per second electronic shutter is amazing. That's Sony A92 territory. That's basically Canon 1DX Mark III territory. Wonderful. And what's this, 12 frames per second mechanical shutter? Awesome. But then this thing must have one hell of a buffer, because I've worked something out here. Now, if you're going to have 8K video, then the pixels, now let me see, I've written it down somewhere. Or have I? Maybe I haven't. It's on my other sheet of paper. I'll be right back. Okay, I said I'd be quick. Yeah, so we're looking at pixel size. Right, so the pixel size, 7,680 by 5,125. That's going to give you the 8K resolution, and that puts this new camera in the 14 megapixel range. So it is going to be a high res camera. So if it's doing 20 frames per second electronic and 12 frames per second mechanical, that is incredible, quite frankly. So are we going to get 20 frames per second full resolution images, or are they going to be dumbed down images? Are these going to be like 20 megapixels? Are they going to be 10-bit, 12-bit images instead of 14-bit? The same with the mechanical shutter. Will these be full high-res, full fat images, or are they going to be dumbed down images? We don't know that. We don't know. Right now it could just be advertising spiel. To some extent there is advertising spiel out there by Canon. Of course there is. It's a company. They're trying to get your interest. And 10 dedicated lenses. Well, most of you who are interested in Canon probably know, but these new lenses, these EF lenses, we have 10 already, and they're really good lenses, but hell on earth expensive. So in terms of rumours then, Digit 10 processor. Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't. I think they would need to, given the specs in terms of the shooting speed and the resolution, but it's not for certain yet. 4K at 120. Really? I'm not so sure about that. 45 megapixel sensor, well, we've spoken about that. I think it will be something like that. 10-bit 422. Let's hope so, because to have a camera that shoots 8K and have it as an 8-bit camera doesn't really make much sense. But obviously it is going to, will it be H.265 as well? Again, let's hope so. And a larger battery. I think it should need to be I think it would need to be a larger battery. You've got IBIS, you've got that extra speed, you've got the electronic viewfinder, which I'm sure will be of a high resolution. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. So yeah, I imagine we will have a larger battery, but that's just me guesstimating as well. What will the autofocus system be like? Will it be this dual pixel autofocus nonsense that doesn't work very well outside of live view? You know, I don't want to be taking shots of a jet fighter cruising past with dual pixel autofocus. Honestly, please don't put dual pixel autofocus as the main autofocusing system in this camera, Canon. You already have. It's too late now. It's gone past that stage. You can't change your minds. It's in the camera. I'm sure there's nothing you can do about it. But please, I hope you've not. Please make it a nice autofocus system like Sony has. What else have we got? Yeah, how many AF points and how much of the frame will they cover? I imagine at least 80%, but again, not so sure about that one. Is there a record time limit? Will we be able to record beyond 30 minutes? Should be able to. But will we be able to record 8K for any length of time? Will there be a cap on that? Will it be something like 5 minutes or 10 minutes? The reason I'm wondering about this is the Panasonic SH1 6K camera. It's pretty large. It has a huge fan inside it. And that thing, I mean, that's only 6K. And looking at the pictures of this new Canon camera, it doesn't look like a large camera body to me. It doesn't look like it's got a fan inside. It doesn't look massive. It just doesn't look like it can deal with 8K for any length of time. Maybe it can. Maybe it'll be able to do 8K for 30 minutes, maybe more than 30 minutes, but I don't think so. And the same with 4K 120. If it does that, I don't think it'll be doing it for too long. I think if this thing does 8K, it'll be something like a snap of 8K. We might get 5 minutes out of it, something along those lines. So what else do we have here? Buffer size, yeah, the buffer size. Is it going to be able to? These are large files, and if it is shooting 40 plus megapixel images at a rate of 20 images per second, best case scenario, you want to shoot more than 1 second. You know, you want to have a 5 or 6 second burst. Those are massive files. It's a lot of data to put through, so it's going to need a huge buffer. How big will the buffer be? That's the other thing. What else have we got on here? No, that's it. There's nothing else on here. I can't see anything else worth talking about, because that's how much information we've got right now. We just don't know. We've got some pictures, we've got a little bit of spiel from Canon, we've got a lot of Canon rumour stuff jumping around all over the internet, but nobody knows for sure. I hope that Canon have done something good this time. I hope that they've not put out a camera, or they won't put out a camera that's not going to meet the expectations of the people now who are kind of like foaming at the mouth waiting for it. I hope this is not going to be another Canon disappointment, because like I said, I was a Canon shooter. I left Canon because it wasn't giving me what I needed. It wasn't giving me what I wanted in video. It wasn't giving me what I wanted in terms of dynamic range, of ISO performance. It wasn't giving me the connections, the connectivity that I needed. It wasn't even giving me the lenses that I wanted. A lot of the lenses were older lenses from the early 2000s, late 90s, and many of them just weren't updated, and it was a real pain. And going to Sony for me has been a really refreshing experience, because the E-mount is new and the lenses are new, and they've been made to the latest tolerances, and they can resolve a lot, and they're sharp and they're fast at autofocusing, and it's just been like a breath of fresh air. You really need to know what you're doing when you're involved with the Canon system. You need to know what lenses you're buying, DP review, DxO Mark, all of this. You just need to do your research before you buy a lens, but that's a separate issue. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about this camera, but I just hope that Canon don't fluff it. Canon's got a long history of putting out rumours and putting out the odd spec here and there, getting people all worked up, and then it comes out wrong. Please don't make a camera where the video's 8K, but it's JPEG video, so we can't actually use it. Please don't make a camera where you've got 20 frames per second and your autofocus system is pants and it just doesn't track. Please don't make a camera where the battery is going to die because you've not updated the battery and we're shooting 8K. Please don't dumb the images down. Please don't give us a camera where we're shooting 20 frames per second in some 12-bit 15 megapixel sort of format. Please don't do that, Canon. You've got a chance here. You can redeem yourself, and I'm not begging you because it's too late, because the prototype's out. I'm sure it's been used, and you know, all these professional people have been using it for the last few months or whatever, putting their spiel in for the upcoming advert that you're going to release on YouTube. But I hope you've not let us down. That's what I'm going to say, because I'm not going to jump ship back to Canon from Sony. I've gone from Canon to Nikon to Fuji to Sony in the space of 2 years, and I just can't keep jumping ship like this. I've spent too much money. But I hope that you've got a good camera, because it will shake the whole industry up. It will force other camera makers to do a better job, to improve their systems, yada yada yada. Okay, so that's what I've got to say on it. There's a lot of spiel out there. Like you guys, I'm just trying to work it out. But I think that, we've got the truthful, what we know to be true elements, and then we've got the fictional part, which we can only guess at. And quite frankly, that's up there with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas right now. Let's see what happens. Till next time, get out there, do something interesting.